This is the Cholo News Report for Saturday 25 November 2017. At least 300 people are killed, and over 100 wounded, in a bomb and gun attack at a mosque near Arish, Egypt. What is happening is an attempt to stop us from our efforts in the fight against terrorism, Mr. Sisi said in a televised address hours after the attack. Egyptian security forces have for years been fighting an Islamist insurgency in the Sinai Peninsula, and militants affiliated with the called Islamic State have been behind scores of deadly attacks in the desert region. An army spokesman said terrorist spots, where weapons and ammunition were reportedly stocked, had been bombed by Air Force jets on Friday in response. Former South African sprint runner Oscar Pistorius has his jail sentence increased to 13 years, and 5 months for the murder of his girlfriend Reeva Steenkamp. The Supreme Court of Appeal ruled his sentence be increased to 15 years, less time already served. Oscar Pistorius should have been sentenced to the prescribed minimum of 15 years for murder in South Africa, Zariti said, as he delivered the verdict that was reached by a panel of 5 judges at the Supreme Court in the central city of Bloemfontein. Sting, Peter Gabriel, Edward Snowden and Away We call for President of Amnesty International Turki Tanakul to be released from prison. Their demands included the release of Taner Kilik, Amnesty chairperson in Turkey, whose trial, alongside the others detained, was set to resume on Wednesday. Kilik was detained in June in the western city of Izmir for using Bilok, an encrypted communication software which the government says is used by members of an outlawed group led by Fethullah Gulen, a US-based self-exiled religious leader who the government blames for last year's coup attempt. People in London panicked after what was thought to be gunfire, causing 1 injury in the panic. Police state there are no signs of gunshots or casualties. Panic erupted among Christmas shopping crowds on London's Oxford Street on Friday evening, as armed officers raced to respond to reports of shots being fired in the area, but police said later they had found no evidence of gunfire or casualties. Oxford Street, with its festive window displays and hundreds of overhead lights, was crammed with shoppers, taking advantage of the Black Friday sales, when the incident happened shortly after dusk. Emmerson Mnangagwa is sworn in as the new president of Zimbabwe pending elections next year. Required to serve our country as the president of all citizens, regardless of color, creed, religion, totem or political affiliation, he said in remarks after his swearing-in. He described his vision of a fairer Zimbabwe, in which segments of society no longer suffered from disease, hunger, unemployment, illiteracy and extreme poverty. Corruption is a subject close to the hearts of the people who had watched Mugabe live an extravagant lifestyle for decades as the country struggled with food shortages and poverty. Days ahead of the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, which would be attended by Ivanka Trump, it has been reported that the United States Department of State led by Secretary of State Rex Tillerson will not be sending a high-level delegation to support her amid reports of tensions between Tillerson and the White House. This year's event, though, falls just as the White House has directed Secretary Tillerson to slash his agency's budget. The acting Assistant Secretary for the Central Asia region, Alice Wells, was originally slated to be at the summit, but has since been pulled off by Tillerson's team, according to a source. The official added that he was unaware of tensions, or the internal chatter over supporting the first daughter, who serves as a senior White House advisor. Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir, wanted by the ICC for allegations of genocide and war crimes, asks Russian President Vladimir Putin for increased military ties and protection against the United States during his first visit to Russia as president. Putin agrees to increase their country's economic ties. Turkey delighted as Trump pledges to stop arming Kurds. Court showdown looms as Liberia election board rejects fraud claims. Saudi Crown Prince calls Iran's leader new Hitler.